Politico and Politico.com is a political newspaper and a political website in the United States based in Washington, D.C. We cover national politics. We try to tell the story behind the story of national politics. We try to tell the story, a story that's so interesting, so newsworthy that it will be news, the news we report will be news to members of Congress, to people on the president's staff, to insiders in Washington. And our theory is if we can tell stories that are news even to those people, then it's likely to be very interesting reading for people outside of Washington as well. Politico Pro is a new publication we've just launched last year that tries to bring some of the same attitude of Politico to specialized subject areas. We've started with healthcare, technology, and energy. And what we do is we do very in-depth reporting on those subject matters. And if you're someone who makes your livelihood working in those areas, if you're a lobbyist, if you're a member of Congress or a staffer on the Hill, if you work in some of the agencies involved in these areas, if you're in an NGO, for instance, that kind of detailed reporting is very valuable to you. So much so that you're probably willing to pay for it. So it's a different business model for us. It's a subscription-based model. Politico is free. Politico Pro costs money, and it costs money to subscribe to it, and it costs a lot of money to produce it because we do very in-depth reporting with a lot of very experienced reporters, and you can't do that for free. If Mitt Romney can start the Republican primary season by winning Iowa and winning New Hampshire, and he looks very strong headed into South Carolina, then it's going to be very hard for someone to beat him for the Republican nomination. There are a number of people who over the course of the year have jockeyed to be the anti-Romney or the non-Romney candidate, and no single one of them has caught fire in a sustained enough way to knock off Romney. So they're dividing all the votes that aren't Romney votes. Romney's holding on to the Romney votes for right now. And if he goes 3-0 with Iowa, New Hampshire, and then South Carolina, he's going to have a momentum that's very, very hard to stop. It's going to be a very, very different election than 2008 was. 2008 was about a lot of hatred for George W. Bush, a lot of anger over the Iraq War, concern about the economy, but not the sort of level of concern, I think, as there is now. And it was about this mesmerizing young candidate, Barack Obama. None of those things, with the exception of the economy, is really going to be an issue this time around. George Bush is long gone. The Iraq War, the U.S. participation, at least in the Iraq War, in terms of ground troops, is over. And Barack Obama is not, in the eyes of many people, the mesmerizing candidate he once was. He's a more complicated president. He has not succeeded in turning around the economy. He would argue that it would be much worse if it weren't for the measures he and his administration and the Democrats have pursued, but the reality is it's still pretty bad. So what we have to see now is if it could have been worse is a very compelling campaign argument to make. But that's the argument he's got to make now. So he's lost people because the economy is still in very rough shape. He has disappointed a lot of people in his own party. The health care law that the Democrats got through did not have everything that a lot of Democrats and a lot of liberals hoped for. And Obama has gone soft on some of the environmental issues that the liberal base cared about a lot. Ozone standards, the Keystone Pipeline. So these are areas where I think there's some disappointment, some disillusion by Democrats. And so Obama is not going to be able to, unless things really change, bring sort of this massive outpouring of excited voters to the polls in 2012 like he did in 2008. The good news for him right now is the Republicans don't really show any signs of being able to do that either. If Mitt Romney is the candidate, you're going to have a pretty significant percentage of the party, the Republican Party, feeling a little lukewarm about that. So we may have two candidates who are not really motivating their respective bases, and it may just be sort of a less charged election than it was in 2008. I think it's going to take a lot for Mitt Romney not to be the candidate. In the last day or so, there's been a lot more focus on his business dealings and the things he did at Bain, the company with which he was involved. That has some potential to turn the race, but it's going to take a lot to keep him from getting the Republican nomination, even at this very early stage. I think it's safe to say that. everything will turn on the economy, barring some completely unexpected event, a terrorist attack or something like that. Everything will turn on the economy. There is no chance that the economy in November, when Americans go to vote, will be what it was before the recession. It could be a little bit better, but employment will not be at pre-recession levels. Housing prices won't be at pre-recession levels. And Americans are going to take a look around and say, well, does Obama have us on the right track now? Could Mitt Romney have us on a better track? Are Romney's arguments that he's a businessman and knows how to do this stuff, are those more compelling than Obama's arguments that, hey, it was worse than we thought it was when we took office, and it's better than it would have been if we weren't here? And it's just way too soon to tell, because so much of it depends not just on how the campaign plays out, but how the economy plays out over the next 9 months.